Hey everyone, this is Christy Furio with Keys to the Shop. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another Shift Break episode. Just a short few minutes of your time to give you some tips and tools to help you in your career and help you thrive in the cafe. Now, today I want to talk about the hospitality paradox. And what I mean by this is, as the opportunity to show hospitality increases in the cafe, our desire to, or even capacity to show hospitality tends to decrease. When you have a lot of business, when there's a long line, when things are full in the cafe, when a tour bus unloads in front of your shop, there is a great opportunity there. No one could deny there's a great opportunity. But sometimes when that happens, our heart sinks, if we're honest. And we get into self-preservation mode because I had no idea 12 people were about to walk in. You know, name the thing that you are just dreading when the shop is busy. And yet, there's no better time to show hospitality. We tend to think that the times when the line is manageable, when there's like 2 or 3 people in line and they're all ordering, you know, our favorite drink to make, and it's like we can talk about the coffee. Those are the times when we can really finesse the experience and draw out the conversation. And we tend to think of those times as being the ideal times for hospitality. And in a way, it kind of is, because those are slow and you can do what you want. But we need to be able to put our best foot forward when we have a lot of customers in the store, just as much as when we have people just trickling into the store. Now, the seasons are turning cool, and the holidays are around the corner. You know, I have a consulting client in McAllen, Texas, Reserva Coffee Roasters, and we are just on a phone call talking about how they're just getting slammed all the way down in South Texas. The weather turns a little bit cooler, even down there, and people are flocking into the store, and they're having record days, and it's really fantastic. It does present a challenge. And it challenges your system, it challenges your capacity as a barista and as a manager. And that's what I want to talk about today, is what are some solutions for this hospitality paradox where instead of just defaulting to the self-preservation mode and just mechanically moving the line through and not seeing this as so much of an opportunity or taking the opportunity to show hospitality in a engaging way. So what can we do to sort of balance things out as things get busier in the store? So the first thing is you need to have awareness of what you do when you're stressed out. What does your team tend to do? What do you as a manager tend to do when you're stressed out? And then look at what you can do as a team to help each other bring up the back end of the service experience. Because the temptation, again, is to let service and hospitality drop off when it gets busy. Those times are so important to show people your absolute best. So teamwork is absolutely necessary. And teamwork sounds kind of trite, but what I mean by this is essentially look out for each other. Make sure that you are all healthy. Make sure you're in a healthy place mentally. If you notice that somebody is really struggling on the register, maybe offer to switch them to the machine. If you're a manager and you see this, you can do this in the moment, switch people up, put them in a place where they're going to thrive in the midst of this heavy traffic, right? If somebody has not eaten, give them an opportunity to eat. Just make sure that you have each other's back. Do extra little things for each other behind the bar. Don't just look out for what your specific station's needs are. There are little things that overlap between register and bar back in the kitchen that you can do and you see out of the side of your eye. It takes focusing outside of your world and seeing the big picture. And that requires a little forethought as you enter the shift. Just know every time you come into the bar during this season, it might get busy. So what will you do? Look for the peripheral things that you can do that will help out your teammates. And you'll see that when you have each other's back, that frees up that hospitality-focused part of your mind. And then naturally, you feel more comfortable and more empowered to actually show genuine hospitality, even when it's really, really busy. The next thing I think on top of that, very, very critical piece, is that extra communication is necessary. That means extra communication from baristas to managers about your needs, and managers to baristas also, making sure that they have what they need, and also that there's a lot of accountability for getting things done. We're talking about things like, do we have enough milk for the next day? A barista might notice that they're getting really low and that there's a set schedule for a certain amount of milk every day that's just not going to cut it because an unexpected amount of business happened in the night shift. A barista who is looking out for their teammates will contact the manager to ask about ordering more milk. And what manager would not want to hear from a barista that they're thinking ahead and noticing this far better than just having to run to Walgreens the next day and, run out of milk? It's happened too often. This extra communication is just par for the course, especially when things are busy. And essentially, this support of one another with extra communication and helping each other out with what the other needs is what will free up each person to give their best hospitality to the guest when things are really chaotic in the cafe, when there's a large family trying to order at the register and there's a line of drinks on the bar and people aren't picking up their drinks at the pickup counter. That is a situation where we feel so anxious, but if we know that we're taken care of and we've got each other's back, it can be made a little bit easier, and it makes the process of ordering coffee and enjoying this experience for guests a lot easier as well. Another thing that you're going to want to do if you're a manager is look at extra support, extra staffing. It's not just about making sure that people have what they need in terms of tools and product and things like that. Sometimes they just need you to be there as a support. Sometimes they need an extra barista, and they want to know that management and ownership is looking at this as an opportunity as well, by putting their money where their mouth is. If you talk about hospitality and you're understaffed in your shop, and you're looking at those labor costs and you're thinking, boy, the labor costs are so low. That's really great. I'm making more money. I have news for you. If your labor cost is lower than 20% and it's super busy in the shop, something bad is happening in the shop. I guarantee it. That's too low. You should be spending money in the cafe in order to ensure that these experiences go as well as they possibly can. So if there's a 2-person shift that's regularly getting slammed on a Saturday night because the weather is turning cool and it's just changing the pattern of your business, you really have to look at changing the schedule to either be there yourself or get a 3rd person on. Maybe you have a single person closing the shop on Monday nights, and usually that's your really slow night, and you need to have another person, maybe stay there extra a couple of hours during a mid-shift. Don't be scared of spending that money to ensure a good experience for these customers. This is really critical because if you pinch the pennies in this time, you're going to cost yourself a lot of potential earnings in the future. So don't be afraid to offer some kind of increased coverage support for this time in the cafe, even if that means you yourself as the manager or owner being there more often to help chip in, to do dishes, to do the job that a mid might need to do. It really makes a big difference to the overall experience. So let's make sure that we're taking into account all of this extra business that we're up against during these cooler seasons when the holidays are around the corner, when the rushes might be a little irregular, and let's have each other's back. Let's communicate more and bring up the hospitality to meet the opportunity. I hope you found this episode helpful. Thanks for joining me today. Go show some amazing hospitality as things get busier, and I will see you here next week for another edition of Shift Break, from Keys to the Shop.